Welcome to the bit before the intro. I'm your direct messenger, Ollie Bateman, and this is just a quick message to say thank you to everyone who listened to our Halloween special with Mr. Jamie Powis at the helm. A huge shout out to Jamie's wife, Shell, and Adam's wife, Anna Louise, for taking part too. We had so much fun putting that together, and we're really excited to hopefully bring you some more holiday specials going forward. You'll notice from the title that this isn't a regularly scheduled campaign episode of the podcast. We've decided to take a short break just so we can get ahead on recording, but we didn't want to leave you without some Dice with Death content in your podcast feed this week. Don't fret though, as the adventures of Ark, Zakaya and Titus will return with episode 21 on Tuesday the 23rd of November. We hope you'll join us then. For now, enjoy the show. Welcome to No Dice, the podcast after the Dice with Death podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Bateman, and I'm joined by a fatherly parrot and man of the cloth who we find on this mountainside, which resembles Hoth. He fights the good fight, and who thought it absurd when he was knocked down and reduced to a lowly gutter bird. It's the clerical bird person with no canonical last name. It's Ark, aka Mr. Jamie Powis.
Thank you for the Star Wars reference. Much appreciated. Any Star Wars references you want to throw in for me, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you.
You love a bit of Star Wars.
Sorry.
Nerd. As we were talking off air before this, you're a Trekkie as well. So yeah. No, it's I envisaged the side of the mountain as looking quite Hoth-like. So I'm glad that you appreciate that reference.
Thank you very much.
I'm, of course, also joined by a young forest dweller who loves a drink of that which intoxicates her. No harm, no kink. A picture and a pendant she happened to find. What tales lie beneath these objects, and will the truth be so kind? It's everyone's favourite mistress of magic, Zakaya Rubbledusk, a.k.a. Miss Amy Mallet.
Woo! I feel like I'm being introduced on Blind Date. There's a real game show vibe to this episode, and I'm loving it.
If it was Blind Date, that's so unlucky for you, Amy. Jeez. You better...
Hello.
You're right, mate.
Jamie introduced himself. Yeah, all right.
You're right.
Hello.
How am you?
Right, hello. How am you?
How am you?
God. Blind Date. What's your name and where'd you come from? And finally, I'm joined by a grey mountain man monster and tree branch hoarder who had no idea he was such a good snowboarder. He slashes, he stabs. Whether goofy or regular, could this be the end of times for Titus as a wrestler? It's the big beefy boy himself, Titus Thunderbastard Caligarvey, a.k.a. Mr. Adam Wilborn.
Sup, dudes? Great powder out there today, right?
Sick.
Get
Sick.
some powder.
Sick powder, bro. And I now know that the word is powder and it's not snow dust. As
You're
for
welcome.
the last few episodes. Thank you, Jamie, for razzing me on the last episode. That was great. Welcome to No Dice, everybody, the show that we haven't done in a very long time, but we got one request for on Twitter, so we're doing it. Literally, I think we did a No Dice after episode 12, and now we've just put out episode 20. So
Do we have this human's name so we can shout them out and say, here we go?
yes,
Here's your
yeah.
No Dice.
Here we go. Here's a shout out to, I don't actually know his name. It's just Son of Kratos on Twitter. So shout out to you.
Woo!
Shout out to you, Son of Kratos on Twitter.
Son of
Shout-
Kratos. Atreus, if you will. That's probably his name.
I love our fans on Twitter because they just randomly pop up in my mentions. It's like wrestling stuff. Hey, what about Titus? Wrestling stuff. especially on when we do occasionally do live streams watching pay-per-views, and people are normally asking questions about what we think about matches or storylines or whatever. And then occasionally it just pops me, especially because half of the other people are like, what are they talking about? They're like, hey, Titus could handle this prick, couldn't he? And I'm like, hey, there they are.
You're like, yeah, backflips. And everybody's like, what? No. So shout out to Son of Kratos. Shout out to everybody who's on Twitter. And
Yeah.
I will do this at the end of the episode because I wanted to mention them. But we've actually had some 5-star reviews that I want to read out because they're pretty
legend.
sick.
Go.
We've
do
actually
it. Make
had
our
some.
day.
So Yeah, remind me
We've
to
actually
do that
had
at
some.
the end
We
of
did
the
have some
episode.
before.
Well,
We've actually had some more.
our first ever 5-star review was from me. So
Oh, okay.
I was cheating the
that's the equivalent
system.
of your mum, isn't it? Yeah.
we might as well get into this episode of No Dice. It's a very innocuous question that I'm going to ask right now, and I feel like I start every No Dice off with it just because it feels like it's a good reset for where we are. But how is everybody feeling? Player-wise, campaign-wise? Like, you've come so far in such a short amount of time. I think genuinely in campaign, I think you guys have actually only been together for like 8 or 9 days and all of this shit has occurred. So how are you guys doing? Working as a team, being part of this campaign, learning stuff about your backstories? How is it going for you all as players?
I'll go first if you. Go on, Amy.
Go for it.
No, go on, Amy.
No, you go.
Go on, Amy.
Go. This is
Yeah,
going to be
so-
a British time loop now. We're stuck in this situation for ages. Go. Go.
No. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, yeah.
You were in the queue before me. No, you were in the queue before me.
And then we both start at the same time again. It's like, oh, no,
Yeah.
did
In
it.
fact, if you could both just go after the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go.
Right, so I think with, didn't come with the Amy, that's fine.
No, she didn't.
I think just talking about us out of the game and as people, because we are people. I think we're just like, at the moment we're recording one episode before the next one comes out, because I think we've just had, with lockdown easing and everything, and just what's happening in our lives, we're all really, really busy, and we've got, some of us have got new jobs and some of us got old jobs, and it's just all kind of like piling up at the moment. So we put this episode of No Dice in just to kind of give us a little bit of break before the next episode comes out.
When you'll be hearing this, when I've edited all this No Dice up, you would have heard episode 20. So 20 will be out there. Although you might not have probably noticed it while listening to the campaign, every 2 weeks it comes out. We were 5-6 episodes ahead.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as Jamie says, lockdown's eased. Some of us have made moves all over the country and that kind of stuff, and we do have very just normal lives where we have to go to work and do all these kind of mundane, boring shit. So if we ever get the chance to record rather than 2 weeks apart, a week apart, we will do, and we will get ahead again. But is that impacting anybody's enjoyment of this campaign so far? Or is it do you feel like you hear the episode before we record the next one, so you're more prepped for the next episode in what case?
Yeah, I think that actually has helped a little bit, is that we obviously, it'll be fresh in my head completely by the time we jump into the next episode, because I'm kind of listening through it and I'm almost keeping abreast of what's happening with the fans as well. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This would be interesting to explore in the next one. Maybe this could happen. I do. I think every man and his dog got married as well. That's another thing that happened over summer, wasn't it? Because everyone's wedding had been postponed due to lockdown. So all of a sudden we were attending weddings every weekend, and it was really impossible to... I mean, I did try at one point to whip out my microphone and play some D&D on a table, but nobody was up for it. But generally, I still enjoy it so much. And it seems like people are enjoying it a lot as well. Listeners are enjoying it. So that's great. But I think it's one of those things where we could discuss, maybe having a Christmas break. A lot of podcasts do that, and then sort of getting a few in the can and sort of building up from there. But there's ways we can do it, and there's ways we can kind of hopefully take the pressure off of Jamie a little bit in terms of editing. But I'm still enjoying it, and I can't believe it's all happened in 9 days in game. When you think about the fact this has been going now for over a year, that really baffles me.
In terms of an overview of what's actually happened in the campaign, 9 in-game days ago, you all met for the first time on a ship.
Wow.
On a prison ship. You met Squiddy. He possibly perished.
Possibly, listeners, possibly.
You've been through a facility which you've exploded. You've been underwater in a submarine. You've been to a town of Iliad. You had a ceremony for somebody that you met. You picked up 1,000 gold each. You've met Elmin Monroe. It's insane the amount of stuff that you've actually done. 9 days might be a conservative estimate. It might be a little more. It might be a little less. But in terms of you guys actually putting together a relationship as players, it's been a very short amount of time, but in real world, almost. But when will it be a year? January, February next year will be like a year of the podcast. So
January the 29th. I had a look today because I'm looking at the episode numbers, and you think that episode 25, 26 would technically be our 1 year anniversary, but it's not our anniversary of getting the podcast out.
Yeah. Because didn't we put out like a couple of episodes all at once, didn't we, to get the ball rolling?
When we started, we were so prepared. We released 3 and then at the start, and then we had, I think, 3 more in the bag. So we did have a lot, and I think it's really funny actually, because like on my got our website, www.dicewithdeath.co.uk or www.dicewithdeathpodcast.com, whatever you fancy. I got the alert saying it's going to be renewed. So I think I don't actually, because I think me and you, Ollie, were talking about it before we asked these two about it. And
we did.
I was like, I'm so confident this is going to happen. I'm going to buy the URL.
You did, because this seems like a weird like roundup clip show for the year.
Yeah, it does.
We started, or we were talking about this in July of 2020. So like big in lockdown stuff, and we'd been talking about doing it before then for the last couple of months anyway, playing in games in cafes and stuff like that, and going, oh, we're funny, we should record ourselves and all that, what people who don't do podcasts always say.
Exactly.
Started the chat in July. We put that audio pitch together, which we sent to Adam and Amy, and Amy listened to it and was like, oh, cool, or didn't listen to it and was like, oh, that's something cool that you're doing, and we were like, no, we want you to be part of it.
I remember, it's actually lovely thinking back, because I did the first 2 episodes of Dice with Death with you guys in my old house. And I remember it was, I lived with two flatmates at the time. And I remember sort of like the walls it was one of those really high ceilinged places. I didn't really have a good setup. The floors were hardwood floor. So every little creak, like somebody couldn't fart in another room without you hearing it. And I remember thinking to myself, oh man, this is going to be so rough in the audio. But actually it translated really well. But then my next couple were in the house that I've moved into now with Leo. So it's it's been a real journey. God, when you think back to when we actually started, all the stuff that's happened since. And in terms of in-game, I mean, it's weird, isn't it? How you bond so quickly and you get to know these characters despite, actually a relatively short space of time passing between them. Like 9 days ago for us to actually have met is shocking. Like, what does everybody feel like their character feels about each other at this point, given those 9 days?
Mainly guilt for getting into most of these scenarios. I was just going to say, before we move on to that, because I always thought the big test for this podcast was going to be when things open back up, because like you say, it was so easy for us to go, right, well, we're stuck inside for the next 6 months. What day works best for everyone?
Yeah, exactly.
What day aren't you holding the baby, basically, Jamie? And then we'll go from there. And then, like you say, when things open up and we do weddings and stuff, it was difficult for a while, and getting ourselves organised and just finding the time, really. But I also found that I thought the really good part of it was, it's obviously good, getting the interactions online and seeing people respond to it. But even if this wasn't going out as a podcast, like I'd catch myself like thinking about it just in random bits during the day. Like, oh yeah, remember the gold toothpick, or whatever it may be, or like, I wonder what's going to happen next with us fighting the hog folk, or the oh god, I'm hungover, I'm kind of buggered in battle, or just like mind shadows, just mind shadow. Like, I always think that when people, like, the missus would be like, oh, I had this horrible nightmare. I was like, did a mind shadow try and kill you? Because it's not as bad, is it? Literally, and you was at bloody death's door. So,
oh god,
you been thinking you were back in school and naked on exam day. It's not as bad, is it? She's literally at death's fucking door.
About to get me a skull caved in.
Yeah, I was just random. I was chatting to a lad I work with about this, because he's into Warhammer, and we're two very cool people. You just wouldn't know that we're into this nerd shit, basically. You would not pick up on that.
Yeah, of course. Okay, yeah.
But honestly, yeah, it was just. I think it's a real test of it that we were just like, right, okay, well, we can't do any of these days in the next 3 weeks, but this day, lock it down. Or if we get a chance over a weekend to do like 2 back to back, we will do it. It's very reassuring, and I'm just astonished. Like, I can't believe, looking back, what we've gone through in the last 7 episodes.
Yeah,
because it was just like I think back to like escaping that place that we blew up or whatever it was, and that's like ages and ages ago. Like, I'd forgotten parts of like being in a petrol station or whatever it was called. And
that kind of fueling station bit, sort of. Yeah,
there was a bit possibly in the last episode, possibly in the episode before, possibly when you were about to die and we hadn't even got to the race yet, where I thought, oh, I've been a bit gung-ho, haven't I, really? But then that's Titus down to a T, isn't it? So headbutt first, ask questions later, I think, is my general policy.
I think the fueling station bit, the hog folk and bounty hunters bit, that bit was quite a fun little fight, and it was also quite self-contained for a fight. Sometimes, as D&D, just the nature of D&D, the nature of the beast, like a fight will go on for ages, and I think that was quite an intense. It was the jet ski bit when they were chasing us down the river Serically, like all that stuff was very action movie-esque, and I think the pacing, actually, considering it's only been 9 days, like the level of emotions that each character's had as well. Like we had a ceremony for Madame Morgana, we had a funeral in D&D that was totally not really planned until we sat down and started playing. And it was actually thinking back, it was one of my favourite episodes, because it genuinely, like, we mourned a character that we'd kind of Ollie had created, and that was a really fantastic pace change, I think, from all the battles and all the kind of like the stuff with Plane Walker and stuff. So yeah, it's really cool. I mean, we've got lots of questions, haven't we, as well, for the campaign?
I have a question, actually. If Amy had have died, would I have found out how she lost her arm?
I think that would have just been lost to time.
It would have been
honestly.
died ago, wouldn't it?
If you'd have said yes, the next episode I'd have just pushed her off the cliff. So, how'd you lose your
arm? I'm done with you now. Narratively, you're not satisfying to me anymore. Bye.
James, I don't know about your experience with this, but like obviously when we thought you died and you went to the that other place, what have you, what I found really interesting was there was that one, and that's, if I remember rightly, that happened like in the episode. Whereas when we had that one where it was like, is Amy going to die? Tune in next time. And the first 5 minutes, it could have been, well, your character's dead, sort of thing. I've never really experienced anything like that, even with like other D&D podcasts, because it just happens in the moment because you're in the middle of a fight. But Ollie, the George R.R. Martin bastard that he is like, that's a hell of a tease. Will one of your 3 favourite characters be back next time? Find out next time.
Yeah, and actually, that's a good point. Titus is the only one to not have experienced that yet.
Yeah, it was last episode was my first KO, first death saves and what have you. I also remember, like, I still think I'm quite careless, but certainly not as bad as when Amy's needing death saves, going, just do some CPR. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, if I fail, she instantly dies forever. Okay.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
It is
It
such
truly
bliss.
It truly, truly is. But
I say I've learned from this, and then I openly challenge a highly skilled snowboarder or skier, downhill racer, to a race, and Ollie's face was just like, I think you're going to slightly regret that. Maybe slightly more negotiation should have gone on there. And I was like, maybe I've just ploughed through here where I should have considered my actions a little bit more.
Well, it's listening to the end of that episode, which I believe is episode 17. No, it might even be. No, it 16. Is episode 16, where the bet is made and the theme tune music rolls, and then all you hear afterwards is Amy go, couldn't we do something that we're just all good at? Couldn't we maybe rethink that? And it was like, a bet has been made. You guys are going to go up to Middle Peak and you're going to race an extreme downhill snowboarder, of which you have never done that before. But to Adam's credit, in terms of role-playing Titus as this big brash character, it's so narratively satisfying to have Titus be so competitive. I mean, in the description, I think of your particular race of character, Adam, as a barbarian Goliath. Competition is all that they sought after, which is why the last 16 episodes before that, there are so many backflips and trying to one-up people, and the whole
Rags.
shit on rag throwing. Just all
rags,
this,
yeah.
all this competition that just sets you apart as your character. So it was only right that you really set the tone for some, high stakes, literal high stakes, big death race down a slope.
Plus, I think I was still quite giddy at meeting Eric and Smorgenhausen, so I was like, well, anything goes right now. I don't know whether this has actually ever been, there ever actually was a basis for this. I can't remember why I hate Lakeland Zager so much. Like, I do. I know it's like in my bones. But I don't think there was ever actually a physical catalyst other than him being a bit arsey whilst I was pissed up after the gold section from
I think
13,
he was just a
12,
bit square,
13.
wasn't he? He was really square, and we would just we'd come fresh off the back of a tavern brawl with chicken nuggets and sort of shots of whatever it was we were shotting and DJ Khaled, and he was the wrong man in the wrong place. But it's so funny how we all kind of jumped on that bandwagon. Weirdly, we were like, we don't like Lakeland Zager. He can't sit with us.
It's probably like a flashback to the first time your parents were disappointed in you when you came home pissed. Do you ever have that? My friend of mine used to try and get around it by when his dad used to pick him up from town. He'd be like, all right, we can't give away that you're pissed here, so what we're going to do is just keep talking, which is something obviously let's say 18-year-old. We all know I physically mean 16-year-old here, but let's say 18-year-old for the legal reasons. You never normally go, you know what, Dad, let's have a lovely, meaningful chat. And yet when you've got a few pints inside you, and he also would put on a bit of a posh accent. So he'd be like, good evening, Father. How has thine evening been? Sort of thing.
Father, now that I have accosted you in the motor vehicle that we are both travelling in, let's talk about our feelings, shall we?
Yes. And then rather than that, but Lakeland Zager reminds me of oh, Adam, why did you drink so many shots? Or whatever. Shut up, Mom. I'll do what I like. Can I have some toast, please? I'm going to be sick again.
Adam, can you clean up your kebab, please? It's all over the stairs. No, Mum, God. But it's so funny because when I made Lakeland Zager, I genuinely thought that you guys were gonna be, oh cool, just an NPC who's here to help us out. So a simple, straightforward military man. I was like, oh, he's got some kind of characteristics as arc, so maybe there'll be some kind of relationship there, which is just oh no, this guy's trying to help us out. So actually, we need to maybe be on his side a little bit more, or thank you so much to Aura Scalesguard for sending someone out to keep us safe in this trip up the Seraclean River. But go back to your point, Adam, about a catalyst. It was just you guys being drunk and doing really well thought out role play. That was it. You were just I'm drunk, I don't know this guy, so I'm going to be a dick towards him. And then from then on, it was just as you started talking to him, I just thought, this guy needs to be more square. He's definitely going to play chess. He's definitely not going to get all these comedic social cues that you guys are putting out. Even I was listening to it yesterday, and I think you said, what's the joke where it's the punchline is, what's up, Doc, or something, or up, Doc, or something.
Yeah,
do you want this up, Doc?
Doesn't it smell like up dog in here? What's up, dog?
Up dog.
Oh, not much, man. What's up? Do you?
And every time you asked him it, which was only twice, he'd go, I don't understand what you're talking about. And you just finish going, you're fucking square, and walk away from it.
My favourite quote is, why are you like this?
Yeah, I went full Michael Scott on him, I think, at that point. I was like, that's it. Also, just very quickly, whilst we're talking about feelings towards characters, I think it says a lot. Now, granted, this hasn't been important in the plot recently, but it says a lot that before we came on, I had to go, wasn't that even the person I'm trying to do this entire campaign for to impress? Oh, yeah, Zarlu. Because I haven't thought about her since I met Eric and Smorgenhausen. I was like, well, she's gone forever. This is the love of my life now I'll sacrifice everything for.
That's really interesting you bring that up, because I feel like Zarlu is the one character I'm so intrigued by, because she is like a fixed part of someone's story that we haven't actually ever seen or encountered yet. Yeah. Like, obviously, my mum and dad are not around, but we've seen a lot of, like, you know, Brenna Rubbledusk and sort of Lothrim in flashbacks. We've seen a lot of sort of memories of people, but Zarlu remains this kind of, like, faceless enigma, and I'm really here for it. I need to know more about Zarlu.
When we finally reunite, she's going to be like, you know, hopefully, as the conclusion to the story, you know, I've done enough in my own head to merit the relationship I want to have with her. In reality, I'm going to be like, yeah, cool, good to see you. Can I introduce you to Eric and Smorgenhausen? He's my best man and best friend.
And actually, as you're walking down the aisle, Zarlu stood at the altar waiting for you. If you intended to get married to her, you just look at her, fully, like, push her out of the way, and Erican just steps in and takes his veil off and goes, "Oh, let's get married, Mr. Titus."
Who's got the teeny tiny bell?
While dabbing your forehead for all this sweat. But yeah, no, it's interesting about some of your backstories. I mean, we focused a lot on kind of like Volok at the start of the campaign, and you know that was to set up a lot of backstory, but a lot of those things haven't come into play because you guys are dealing with the here and now, the getting to this mountain, to meeting Mr. Hirokoshi, to trying to understand what is going on with this prophecy about the bear, the iron, and the storm. You know, we've done some exposition and set up your characters, but now you guys just get the opportunity to play in this world and make a lot of your own decisions for what you want to do, because exposition's all good, but it only gets you so far until you guys actually want to start developing. And I think you've all, over these last 20 episodes, just developed your characters so highly. Like, we know, hearing the name Ark, that he is a grumpy old bird person who just wants to see his family and will take any opportunity to ask a question about, is there an interplanetary spaceport in this ski lodge that I could maybe just go and get a ship and go home and see my family? And it's like, no, because of the travel ban. And you know, Zakaya finding out all these things from the nightmares that she's had recently of, like, you know, this pendant being given to you, these locations appearing, these silhouetted pictures. And I think that kind of relates itself to the concept that I'm trying to bring into this campaign a lot more, which is near-death experiences bring you closer to the truth. So it might actually be worth, I don't know, trying to die at some point, or get knocked unconscious, or, you know, experience all these nightmares to find out more about your backstory or the truth, or, you know, these side quests, essentially, these wider quests that you can all, you know, hopefully in the future within this campaign take part in, along with the main quest.
What I think I really liked as well about the journey up the Serically, and when we were talking about, you know, going back to Ark wanting to, you know, use a spaceship to get to Een, and obviously myself and Ark talking about, like, these parts of the world where I might have, you know, family, and sort of like trying to discover my past as well. Like, we both our characters almost wanted to defy a typical campaign storyline. Like, there were those moments, weren't there, where we were like, should we just, like, fuck Petro Solidas? We don't know what that is. Let's just go. It was, I really enjoyed that, because obviously we are on a quest and we are on something that is important to us. And I think challenging those moments is absolutely authentic for what people who have known each other for 9 days would totally do. Because, you know, we don't know. We have our own interests. Ark has his own interests. Zach has our own interests, and so does Titus. And I think, yeah, like, for us to be kind of forced together like this, clearly we know that there is some kind of this prophecy, and, you know, the arcane cell count of 9,000 and all that stuff. Like, we know there is something binding us together, but in terms of character development, we actually kind of want to break free of it a little bit, because we're like, well, we've got other stuff that's really panicking us. And I think that creates a lot of tension, a lot of drama.
Yeah, it's almost, I don't want to say you're being railroaded, because I hope you don't feel like
No,
that. I hope
no,
you
no,
don't
not at
feel
all,
like it's
no.
like, you're just being put on rails and that's it. This is what we've got to do. Because you guys do ultimately have choice, but there will be things in the world, like the nightmares, like anything that will push you further towards what is going on in the world and what this prophecy might want you to fulfill and what other people in the world might want you to do.
I love seeing stuff on like Reddit about other D&D campaigns, because I can really associate with that in terms of, I saw something the other day about they were on this campaign and they were in a shop or something, and there was a little notices board. And it's a bit like you, Ollie, when in terms of like you just think, I'll just put this in there, and it'll just be something that they pass by. And then I think it was something about someone finding a notice for a missing cat, and then spending an entire episode doing that. And it's like how you have to just be very good at improvising scenarios from something that could, in reality, in your notice, be one sentence long. But because the characters and the players take an interest in that, it's like, well, that's where we're going today. Then I like that, because I saw that and thought, oh, it's exactly like what we do, and how things can change in an instant in terms of the story. The long-term story, like you say, is where we've been heading. But I haven't thought about that for about the last 5 episodes, because we've just been dealing with what's directly in front of us.
And little bits bleed in as well. Elman Monroe, that was great. That was really cool, because that kind of put Titus's past into the present. And then we obviously had that opportunity to kind of chase him down. So I think you do a good job as well, Ollie, of like mixing in some of the kind of like the elements of our story that we want to explore into what's happening. So it still kind of reminds us that like, we're real people. We're not being railroaded. We have real concerns and thoughts and objectives that we're getting to. It's just how we get there.
Yeah, and I specifically, combat's great. It's fun. You can get really cool kills. You can do really cool spells, but it's those episodes where you guys actually have, downtime. Just time to talk amongst yourselves, when you're on the Seraclean river on this boat with Lakeland Zager, and you're all talking amongst each other, and Ark's giving you this pendant and you've focused on it and you've seen these locations, and like Amy, you even say in the episode as Zakaya, so you turn to Ark as if he's like your actual father, and you say, I want to pursue this. Like I really genuinely want to go and find out what's happening. And then it's my job to go, great, like that's a whole arc to this campaign in itself. Like I can place that over there, and I can pepper in some little things that, might get you guys thinking, especially Jamie, because I know Jamie's like, I want to go and save my family. Ark has to go and save his family. And it was really, really satisfying to me when, first of all, Titus finally finished his book, Master of Disguises 101, because he'd had that in his arsenal, or you guys had that book on you for 10 episodes previously. And I'm like, if he just picks the book up and reads it, there's a +1 to deception in there. Like if he just like experiences this object that's like I've obviously like put into the world, then you're going to reap the benefits from it. But yeah, I love those episodes where you guys sit down and talk, because so much more of your character comes out, and so many different aspects of how you could play the next episode come out. Like, what am I trying to think of here? Ark, when you finally finished your book, How the Ancients Traveled the Galaxy, and you get that little snippet of, oh, there used to be portals in this world that could instantly take us from here to there. And there's still rumours of these things around. Like, it's not like there's definitely portals everywhere. Like, it's a thing that you could definitely go and do. But it gives you more of a hope of your character to be like, I'm still allowed to pursue this thing that seems like a side quest, to go and find my family. And, the prophecy's all fulfilling and everything. And that seems to be happening. But I like to think that if you guys want to do something, I'll reward you for wanting to do it.
I have a question for Jamie. Is it frustrating playing with people like me and Amy occasionally, purely because that we do things And Ollie gives us that opportunity of like, is that the end of your go? And you're presumably, a bit like when you were, dead and couldn't influence things, internally screaming, what about the fucking thing you were about to do then? Like, for me, I felt really awful with I thought I was so fucking clever with that Stone's endurance thing, which has always been there, and I've just never lent on it. And then I tried to use it, and I couldn't use it because obviously it was a reaction, and I'd already done that. And then I thought, oh, well, when Thingy first attacked me, I could have just used it then because he hit me for like 20 points. So is that frustrating for you, or is that just something that you just have to learn to get used to? Because I sense now that if me and Amy started playing a campaign with someone else who was brand new, we'd be there going, these fucking players, do they actually read those fucking notes that I give them?
So I think just how both me and Ollie have played, because we've kind of started playing at the same time, really, didn't we? Going in the same places.
Yeah.
In all the campaigns that we've kind of been in, there's always been like we were the new people like 2-3 years ago, and whenever we went to like the geeky shop geeky cafe in Birmingham, there were always new people joining. And I think that's kind of part of the game, really. And I'm really into, because D&D can be a really kind of gate-kept thing, because the books are really expensive. You have to have a set of stupid dice. Like, you have to find like 5-6 people who can spare a regular amount of time each week.
Yeah.
It's just a difficult game to get into, and I think we've always been. I think we've both been. I'm speaking on your behalf now, Ollie, but we've always been very much right. If there's someone new in that like gaming cafe and they come over, we're like, come over. Here's some dice. Let's play. Just because I just want to get people playing the game. Like, it's a really fun game to play. So it doesn't really upset me. Also, I've never played a barbarian. So, like, I don't know what you've got in your arsenal, to be honest. I have played a druid. I've played, like, a rogue. I've played most of them. I've played a monk. I know Ollie plays a badass monk.
A badass monk.
Oh, his monk's really good.
A badass monk fucker. Sorry.
A badass monk fucker.
BMF, if you will.
Okay, a BMF. I would really like to play that monk at some point. I echo exactly what Jamie has just said. We've all been new to this game at some point, and when me and Jamie were in this cafe and we're learning and we're rolling all these stats and just trying to remember what our characters do, it's tough. Like, there is, Amy, you had that episode where it was either 18 or 19 where Jamie was like, can I butt in here? Can I butt in here?
Yeah,
like, you have disengage and all that stuff. And there are so many mechanics to a game of D&D just with your one character that aren't even related to your character that you have to try and remember. But it's repetition, it's doing it over and over again, and it's being able to do it in a safe space where people don't judge you. What Jamie said about gatekeeping is so true. Like, you can sit down at a table with someone who has been DMing for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years at this point, and they have their own opinion about how you should play, what you can and can't do. And I love D&D because I feel so inclusive with it all. Like, I feel like I've been quite lucky that I had, I can't remember, Jamie, how we did this, but I might have messaged you out the blue and just gone, do you like D&D? And you were like, yeah, I fucking love D&D.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, should we become best friends?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it did happen like that. Yeah.
And I just went, should we go to this thing and learn? And we went for like, I don't know, 10, 12 weeks in a row, like every single week playing before lockdown happened. But that environment was so inclusive and so welcoming because we were playing specifically in sessions that were there to teach us how to play. Yeah. So, Adam, to your point, I'm never frustrated when you do it. Jamie isn't frustrated, and it plays into your character's naivety of like learning who you are as these people in this world.
The gatekeeping line is so spot on because the thing I was comparing it to in my head, because I remember when I was about 14, I tried all of my mates, like, what happens, just over a weekend, you come back on Monday and everyone's suddenly into something, whether it be FIFA or whatever it may be. And it was Warhammer. And I tried to get into it, and I despised it because of the way they were like, you don't know about what you have to do with this. And I just didn't remember. They were like, no, we're all playing this. So I was like, oh, cool. So I went to Games Workshop, and I was getting the orcs because everyone else had like, I don't know, Space Invaders or whatever they're fucking called.
Space
And I bought them, and I took them home, and I was like, cool, let's set this up. Opened it, and I was like, wait, I have to fucking glue these together and paint them? What's this shit? And then like no one actually like told me what to do, and then they were like the next weekend they were going to play like a session or whatever it is, and I just was instantly like, this isn't for me, I'm out, sort of thing. So like you say, there's that. You know what I compare it to a little bit is I remember when I first ever went to the gym for the first time, and I was saying to my mate who was like a regular gym goer at the time, I was like, I just feel a bit like out of place. And this bloke in the changing room overheard me saying it. And he was like, no, man, at least you're here. I'd rather you were here and like either doing things wrong or like accidentally leaving weights out. And we just go, oh, you need to do this sort of thing, rather than just not doing it at all. At least you're showing some interest. And it is really addictive. What I was going to say as well is obviously playing as Titus is just a dream. And akin to what you said earlier, Ollie, doing fights and stuff, it's great, but I'm getting more and more into, like you say, the character backstory of not just me but Ark and Zakaya and all that. And I now am getting to the point where, and I would never wish any ill on Titus, but if the worst was to happen and I would have to come back as a new character, I don't think I'd come back as just a basic smash 'em sort of barbarian Goliath character. I'm now more and more getting into, like I said, I've got this Stone's Endurance thing, and I've got this deception thing, and now it's like, I wonder what it'd be like if my character had spell slots, or how that would work. Or it's just opening up more and more doors that I'm fascinated to get into.
Yeah,
and that's probably that's the best thing you can hear as somebody who's like running a campaign and has players within it, that you're like, I love this world that I'm in, and I do actually enjoy these mechanics, and how could I evolve, and how could I change? And to that point, there's we're at the very start of this campaign. Like, I don't know how long this thing is going to go on for, but you guys have all got objectives that you want to fulfill, which, as someone who's running this game, is perfect, because it can go on for bloody forever as far as I'm concerned. I enjoy it that much. But as
here's
characters,
the next 50, guys. Here's to looking back for the next 50.
You level up and you grow and you change, and you might read a book that gives you a +1 to deception, or you might find a magical item that suddenly boosts your ability as a player, or you might multi-class. Like, you might go, do you know what? Being a barbarian is not enough for me anymore. I want to be able to like open my hand and fireballs come out of it and be like Goku, or go Super Saiyan or something, or be a monk and like take levels of this, that, and the other. Like, there's to your point of being like, if I died, it's great to come back as something else and try something else. But in this instance, if you wanted to, you could do that as well. Like, there's literally no limit to you expanding who you are as a character, your abilities, your features. I mean, Jamie, you're the only one who's high enough level so far to have taken a feat, which means you're level 4, these guys are all level 3. But next level up, Adam and Amy, your characters get to increase their stats, like actually increase and possibly do better things, or do what Jamie did and take a feat, which means that you get buffs to things, or can cast spells in different like Jamie can cast a spell as a reaction for like an opportunity attack, and has advantage on constitution saving throws and things like that. There are all these like amazing things that can buff your character and make them so much better without you having to die. So what I'm saying is, you've got options. And it's great if you guys want to explore them, but it's equally just as satisfying if you're like, no, I know who this character is, and I'm going to play that character like I'm going to play them this way till the end of time, because that's fun to me. Backflips are fun. puns. The punometer is off the charts in these episodes, which I love because there's just this undercurrent of like, do I just say a random vine here, or do I Google snowboarding tricks, or like
oh my
chess
god, the
puns and all that
Beatles,
stuff?
the Beatles bit was just so good. That was probably my favorite like pun session. I just had like Beatles discography on my screen, and I was just there like waiting for somebody to be like, should we attack? And I'd be like, nah, let it be.
Yeah, a sneak
got a
peek
few
into
in
the
there, didn't
setup. A sneak peek into the setup. It's like got this desk in front of me. I took a photo of it last time when I had the crap dice that I don't use being used
The
as
diorama.
the pawn, so I can know where we were. And the good dice from our friends at Dice Goblin have been an absolute game changer for me. So I have that. I have like any notes that Ollie has either given us or sent us. I've got obviously my mic and my laptop, and I use my phone to dial into the call and stuff. And then it's like on my computer, it's D&D Beyond, the page where I've got all my notes from what's happened, and then usually another tab that is, well, for the last couple of episodes, just snow puns, and I'm just there going, when can we use these things? And that's mainly what I'm on. So when the reason why I fucking miss Stone's Endurance, because I'm there going, what snow pun can I crowbar in here?
Absolutely. I felt the same way with Disengage. I was like, man, that's been replaced by like something to do with Blackberry Mead, or something that like I've come up with lore-wise that I've just gone, I've completely forgotten about that. But yeah, just going back to like just echoing what Adam said, like thank you and Jamie, both, Ollie, so much for creating that safe space where there is no gatekeeping. Because I mean, going back to what Adam said about the gym, I think that analogy is absolutely perfect. I can't tell you the amount of fandoms or kind of activities or games I have been pushed out of and kind of alienated from because of that level of like, oh, you don't know what this is? Like, nothing is more fun than feeling out of your depth, whereas like feeling like you can get over that barrier of entry is just so rewarding. And I think, you know, luckily we make mistakes and we don't make them twice usually. Like the thing with, you know, the potion will live on forever. Like nobody will ever forget they have a healing potion ever again. You know, Titus now knows about Stone's Endurance. They
You
probably
absolutely
will. I've
But it's fun.
Disengage on the back of my hand. But like, you know, things like that, I think that makes it does make it human, but it also, again, going back to like leveling up and stuff, the fact that Jamie gets there first almost, and we get a little kind of taster of like, this is what can happen when you have a feat, or this is what can happen. That I love as well, because that's like, okay, cool. We naturally, it's canonical sense that we are a level behind him, and we can see, you know, where he's going. And I mean, wild shaping was such a blast. Like I can't believe I haven't spent the whole game doing that. But yeah, there's so much more to come, and I'm really excited. But thank you for creating that space. I think that is what I enjoy so much about it. So
one day I will learn to embrace the paranoia that I have, that when Ollie says, is that you done? It usually means there's something blatantly obvious that you haven't done here, and I'm just double checking that you haven't realised it. Because I remember before we even did this as a podcast, we did another campaign, and I can't remember who the DM was. It was obviously either of you two, and we were in a vault or something, and we all teleported out of there for somehow, and then whoever the DM was like,
Nay.
Did you pick up that? Did you pick up that gold? And we were like, yeah, we picked up that gold. And you're like, no, but did you say I pick up the gold? Or did you just assume that you've picked it up? And it's like, oh, bollocks.
and that has been a thing. So that's a reoccurring theme. The freaking hatch in the submarine.
The hatch, the lid on the thing from before when we were chucking it to each other.
Yeah.
Flapgate.
Like, it's always just like,
Flapgate.
are you sure that's what you want us to do? Yeah.
Wishstone box. That was
Yeah.
good. That was an
Wishstone box.
amazing one.
Yeah.
Honest to God, like just always make it very explicit what you do in any situation.
And it's funny that I've like conditioned you guys into being that way now, because it's great. But like those incidents have happened because they've been high stakes. Like if a flap is open on a submarine and you have this big beefy hogfolk and bounty hunter with a pack of C4, we need to know if that flap is closed or not. You know, when you pick up this wish stone from under the floorboards of a posh barn conversion, which could possibly save your friend's life, Is the box open or closed? You know, like those are the stakes that we want to raise here.
It's made me even more paranoid in real life. Like, I go to work now and I go, did I lock the front door? Because it's such a
Did I close
day
the
by
hatch?
day thing. If my D&D character had the job that I have, they'd just walk out the front door, leave it wide open, and come back. Oh, the house has been burgled, because I just assumed that the door would lock behind me. Yeah, Flapgate though, Jesus Christ, and that C4 bouncing around the rim of the. Oh my God, I'm getting palpitations just remembering it.
So much good stuff has happened since you guys made it up the Seraclay. I'm really enjoying your guys' like newfound, like you're all like newfound tacticians at this point, because you've all been through some shit. You all know what could happen if you don't do a certain thing. And so, like, even in the last couple of snowboard racing things, it's like, you know, Jamie talking to... No, this was it. It was when Ark went down and it comes to Amy's go and she just goes, I heal him. I absolutely heal him. There's no like, oh, well, Jamie, what do you think we should do? And all this stuff. It's like...
Yeah, well, going back to... That's exactly it. Like, we learn over time, and we tend to not make the same mistakes twice, but give it 20 more episodes and you never know. But yeah, like that potion situation has been so embedded in my brain that like soon as somebody goes down, I'm just like, right, heal them, don't fuck about. So yeah, and definitely it's given us a lot of direction. You learn by doing, don't you? And that's the thrill of it, really. Of course.
And I love using these surroundings as well. Like you talked about the Flapgate and the Seraclay, like kicking people into spinning blades, or honestly, as much as I was like, I forget it every single time, when it was like we do a round and then you'd go, okay, roll a dice, and it's going to be either boulders falling onto you or ice or trees, and I was like,
the natural disaster rolls. Yeah,
I love that even more, because it expands it so much more in terms of it's not just you're in this void with weapons and spells fighting someone. It's like, no, you're also affected by your surroundings, and you can utilize them. You can, like, ages and ages ago, when I thought, rather than just sneak up behind someone and stab them, I'm going to throw them into a fire and see what happens. I was like, that's not going to kill them instantly, but it is going to look cool, and it just is so good. And we did it on like one of our first ever D&D sessions before we did this as a podcast, and we were in some... it was like Disneyland or something. I can't remember what it was. Yeah. And there was this energy drainer, and we just like, I think I remember someone stabbed Mickey, whatever their version of Mickey Mouse was, with it, and it like dissolved him. So ever since then, I was like, where are we? What's going on around us, and how can that be utilized to our benefit? And yeah, kicking someone into some rotary blades personifies that.
Yeah, which I want to point out. Was from the sadistic mind of Jamie Powis, who suggested that, because I said in that instance, like, Titus, finish him, and you were like, oh, great, and then you just hear Jamie pipe up and just kicking through the blades.
Yeah, there's a lot of real sadistic moments, isn't there, where people are like, that'll be cool.
I think when you're designing like encounters and stuff, the most exciting thing you can do is design kind of the world that you're in. So my favourite creature in any kind of campaign is a creature called a cave fisher, and where I can use a cave fisher, I will, because what they do is they hang from the ceilings, and they have like a little kind of filament that hangs down, and they just pull people up. If you walk into them, they'll pull you up.
Oh, so, shit, like Half-Life. Fuck. The things that... Yeah. Oh, my God.
So I will put that in every flipping thing that I've got, because no one will remember there was a cave fisher, but everyone will remember the time that they got pulled up to the ceiling and were attacked. So I think it's all about that kind of...
That's really cool. Yeah.
The thing you put around the battle and the encounter.
Yeah, I've been wanting to introduce that kind of role into a game, which I did in episode 19 and 20 with the natural disasters, because like you said, it just adds another dynamic to it. And we need to create better, more intense stakes for you guys, because a lot of the time as a DM for me is like looking at encounters and going, is this too much? Is the action economy too much? Are these guys going to survive it? And to the point about the nightmare where this mind shadow like nearly killed Amy's character, Zakaya, like the first time it struck you all guys and tried to paralyze you, it all like 27 points of damage from you all, like immediately just eviscerated and gone on that like failed saving throw. So the stakes are immediately so much higher when stuff like that happens, and then you spend the rest of the fight and this thing just doesn't roll very well and just can't get at you, but it's so narratively satisfying that you're all put in this immediate danger and then you somehow overcome it through teamwork, through however you did it.
Ollie, talk me through the start of episode 18.
Yeah.
Where you're rolling. It's 2 dice,
Yeah.
wasn't it? You had an advantage.
Yeah.
And you had to get, I can't remember what you had to get above. A 10? Was it?
So in this moment, Zakaya is lying on the floor prone with 1 failed death save and 1 past death save. Because she's prone, the attack has advantage, so it gets to go twice, and any attack to a prone person who is on death saves is immediately 2 failed death saves, which means that one of those hits, Zakaya would just be dead.
And the thing is not that we have, but let's just say, if you're like, I really don't want my character to die, so if Ollie asks me and I've rolled a 4, I'm going to say, I rolled an 11, because you're in control at that point. It's you're the DM's rolling the dice.
Yeah.
And there's this one time I was like, oh, I really wish I couldn't see the 3 of you, because there's the 3 of us just holding our breath. And there's your face that I cannot read, going, oh. Like the first one, I can't remember if you rolled them at the same time or one at a time. Because the first one, you're like, oh, it's a nat 1 or whatever it was. And then I was like, well, that's all well and good, but what about the other one?
Yeah. No, I rolled them both at the exact same time because I don't know. I just wanted to get the rolls out the way, and if I roll both of those d20s at the same time, I immediately know the outcome, and as a DM, I can best describe it rather than going,
Yeah.
oh, okay, right. Well, no, this happens, and then oh, okay. Like I have that plan in my mind to be able to go. Zakaya perishes, or Zakaya survives, or. But to the point of that episode, and to the point that I made earlier, you'll all realise, I hope now, that near-death experiences bring you closer to the truth. We were milliseconds or millimetres away, from this scythe careering into Zakaya's head. And in the time where time slowed down, you were... Because your rolls weren't amazing during the nightmare, you found out little bits of information, but they weren't quite clear enough. But, it's a bit like Adam going into a nightmare and rolling poorly. Like, there are so many opportunities throughout this campaign where Ads could have found out so many things about his character or the nightmares that are plaguing him, but just because of the rolls went the way they went, you just don't find that stuff out. So
yeah,
even though Zakaya was rolling 9s, 6s, you were still finding bits of information, but it wasn't like amazing. This is going to like change my whole outlook on the campaign so far. But I think that gives you something to strive for, to go, oh wow, I want to explore that now. I have this pendant, I know this image, I know that my adoptive parents are no longer of this world, but I'm somehow able to like still communicate with them. It's like, I'm hoping that what I'm doing is opening up this whole world to everybody that they can explore however they want, and just enjoy some hopefully decent story writing as we go forward.
Ollie, roll 2 d20s now and see if Amy would die.
Okay,
oh
right.
no!
Here we go.
Oh god!
No,
God,
great
God.
idea.
That is a great idea. That is a great idea. Go.
So was it a 10 or above, isn't it, to die?
I think it's 7. Cause
No, so in that moment, the Mind Shadow was rolling to hit Zakaya's AC, who at that time was 12. So,
and it had a modifier as well, didn't it? So you're right.
It had a modifier, and I don't have my notes with me, so I can't remember what it is. But it is in the episode. I do say it. But yeah, you would have died.
I would have died. Wow.
I just rolled an 11 on the dice. I believe the modifier was +5. So yeah,
Bloody hell, that thing was so strong.
Yeah, that was it. It was a +5. And it had so it was a 7 or higher, and I think it got a 6 on its first roll, and then it got a natural 1 on the second one. So
Damn.
just the odds were totally stacked against you.
As much as I would like to find out more about Titus, I don't want to have any more death saves. I realise I'm the one who has had the least issues with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do not have.
Why do you think I made
confidence in
sure that
myself.
you actually got knocked out in the last episode? I was like, I had a conversation over text with Jamie about this. I was like, oh, you've gone down quite a few times. Zakaya's gone down. I think now it's time that I focus all my energy on Titus just to see how big and beefy this boy is, but also to possibly give you some more, I don't know, story or backstory to your character. So yeah, just
it felt appropriate considering I got us into this mess as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of No Dice. Thank you so much to my players, Jamie, Amy, and Adam, for coming through and chatting all things Dice with Death podcast this week. You can follow us on social media at Dice Death Pod, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I have to go to these reviews now. I said it at the start of the episode. I'm going to read out some of the of the 5-star reviews that we've got. I'm going to ignore the one that says IDM this podcast and even I like it, because that's from me, obviously. So nice shout out to me. But a shout out to Mark A278 who says, loving this, just started the commute again and I've had this on every single day.
So I know who this is.
You know who this is?
This is actually...
The writing's awesome, and the rest of the party bring it to life beautifully with comedy and wonderful character creation. Please keep this going. # Mon the Thunder Bastard.
Mon the Thunder Bastard. What did you say the name was?
Mark A278.
Mark A278. I think... Oh, actually, maybe it's not. No, I don't want to attribute it to who I think it is, just in case it's not that person. But if it is that person, you know that you are a very, very valued member. But very valued listener, should I say. But yeah, thank you, Mark A.
Also a shout out to GavM9 and then 4 8s after it. First foray into D&D. Have never played or listened to anyone play D&D before, but this podcast had made me desperate to give it a go once lockdown is over.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's really cool.
It was originally D&D podcasts that got me and Jamie into it. So amazing that our podcast could make you feel the same way about it when we're just awful. We're just not as high caliber as some other podcasts. But we're very happy that you had that thought.
Thank you.
Flipping great fun from Mads034, who says, the best D&D podcast around. Great mix of storytelling and all-out fun and ridiculousness. Get so excited for every single episode. I love this. This is great.
Oh, thank you.
That's a shout out to you guys.
Someone's not listened to Critical Role, have they? Jeez.
Hey. Sometimes Critical Role is just not what you need, okay? We are the British equivalent.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's aim for the sky with that one. I mean, there's a lot less episodes of us at the moment, so get in at the start when it's like, oh, it seems doable, rather than going, oh, there's 200 episodes of this. I'm gonna have to go back to the start.
I'm gonna go back on myself by Critical Role, because I will watch the Twitch streaming for Critical Role, but I cannot listen to the podcast of Critical Role. Oh God, no.
Before we get into slanderous territory and get cease and desists from various media companies across the US, take care, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode of Dice with Death. Say bye, guys.
Bye.